If you've lived under a rock for the last year or two, then you may well have just about missed out on one of the worst kept secrets in F1. That George Russell may well be the next Mercedes driver. And there are plenty of indicators that this completely confidential hidden piece of information may be truly confirmed at the Silverstone Grand Prix. I say this after the Silverstone Grand Prix. It did not get confirmed. But this may well say something about it.
I'll be racing next year with Mercedes.
There are two questions for us to answer here in this video though before he sits in that seat. First one, does George Russell deserve that F1 seat over just about everyone else in the sport who would definitely be clamouring for it? And if he does get it, can he challenge the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen in 2022? Before we get onto the video though, only 3% of my watchers are actually subscribed. Come on guys, let's get that up. Let's get that up to like 5%. You know, if we're really going for it, let's go for like a 7.5%, maybe even a 10. Then you'll get to see more and more solid content coming your way. Let's get on with the video. So to know whether he deserves it, we're going back to his roots, his origin story. Born on the 15th of February 1998 in the town of Kings Lynn in Norfolk, England, Russell started racing karts in 2006. He competed in karts until 2013, racking up 10 championship wins along the way, including a win in the CIK FIA European Championship in 2012, an event which featured the likes of Lance Stroll, Callum Ilott, Dan Ticktum and Robert Schwartzman, and even Nikita Mazepin, who was still scoring 0 points even back then. After a brilliant showing in karts, Russell was given his first chance in open wheel racing at the age of 16. He would race in the BDRC F4 Championship for Lannon Racing, alongside Arjun Maini and Struan Moore. Georgie Boy would just about win his first series in open wheel racing by 3 points ahead of Arjun Maini. But a win right away was a great start, and let's be real, the dominance of this Lannon team would be great practice for a future Merc seat already. In the same year, Russell would also race in the Formula Renault 2.0 Alps Series and the Eurocup Formula Renault 2.0 Series for Koiranen GP. In the Alps Series, Russell would race alongside Nick De Vries and a whole host of other racers that seemed to change just about every race. George would bring it home in 4th place, with teammate De Vries almost clean sweeping the championship with 9 wins in 14 races. That's astonishing, that is. Charles Leclerc would finish 2nd as well, and this was a tough starting test for George. In the Euro Cup Series, Russell was a guest driver for 4 races, in another series won by the ever-present Nick De Vries. Russell would get a race win, though, in the series as a guest driver, and he was looking pretty promising overall, and as such would be progressing up to the F3 European Championship for 2015 with Carlin. For 2015, George Russell would be joined at Carlin by fellow talented Brit Callum Ilott and the slightly less talented Colombian Tatiana Calderon, in a series littered with future F1 names like Giovinazzi, Leclerc, Stroll and Albon. Russell's first showing here cemented him into a solid 6th place in the standings with 203 points. His teammates Ilott and Calderon finished 12th and 27th with 65.5 and 0 points respectively. It was a good first year in F3 for Russell, and alongside finishing 2nd in the Masters of F3 race at Zandvoort that year, was a great building block to go on for year 2. A new year and a new team, High Tech GP, alongside Ben Barnicoat and, well, F1's version of a Beyblade as well. Russell would finish 3rd this year, an improvement but not nearly enough to challenge Lance Stroll's utter dominance of the series though, especially for the second half of the season. From Austria onwards, Stroll won 13 of 21 with 4 second places and 3 retirements. Anyway, back to Russell. He did beat teammates Barnicoat and Egbert though, with Barnicoat finishing 9th on 134 points and Mazepin finishing 20th on 10 points. I really do wonder how much money that guy's dad is spending on him being in F1. I mean, at least he has supportive parents. Alongside that series, Russell also raced in the 2016 Macau GP and finished a solid 7th place. not too special either way, and it was on to 2017, and that year really kicked off with a bang. Russell would be signed for the Mercedes Junior team, only the third driver to be signed for them after Pascal Wehrlein and Esteban Ocon, and well, both of those got to race in F1. It was a big step for Russell, which he would follow with the 2017 GP3 series. George was now racing for ART, or what should be known as the Mercedes of GP3. I mean, between 2010 and 2018, they won all but one Constructors' Championship and 6 Drivers' Championships. If you didn't figure it out, yeah, Russell won this series, with ART taking a 1, 2, 3 and 4 in the Drivers' Championship, with Russell racing alongside Jack Aitken, Nurei Fukuzumi and the late Antoine Hubert. Even in this monster of a car, Russell showed his worth, finishing 79 points ahead of Aitken in second. Thanks to this and the new Mercedes branding all over his gear, Russell would be given a free practice seat with Force India at the 2017 Brazilian Grand Prix, setting the 12th fastest time in FP1, just 6 tenths off Ocon in the other Force India. And as a final present for that win, ART would promote him to the 2018 F2 Championship. Russell would race in the F2 Championship for the first time alongside Jack Aitken, who was also rewarded for a stellar F3 season in the ART car alongside George. This was a series featuring the likes of Lando Norris, Alex Albon and Nicholas Latifi, as well as yet again Nick De Vries. Russell showed his absolute best in this championship though, winning the title with 287 points, 68 clear of Norris in second. Of course, with this brilliant showing, Russell would be rewarded with an F1 seat, as was Norris and Albon. Whereas Norris would get the McLaren seat and Albon the Toro Rosso seat, Russell would be joining a Williams team that had only scored 7 points in the last year and was on a complete downward trajectory without a major backing. So you probably know the story from here, as long as you've watched F1 for the past 2 years or so. But if you're super new, then the gist of 2019 was that the Williams was majorly bad, with Kubica managing to get a single point at an absolutely nuts German Grand Prix. Like, seriously, that was crazy. Otherwise, it was just a complete nothing year. 2020, Williams would hope for a better year. Bringing the money backing with Latifi, they might make some improvements. Nope, this year was another 0-pointer for Williams. But for Georgie boy, a sign of hope appeared. Imola 2020. Russell was sitting in 10th on lap 51, and a safety car was out. He just had to hold on for 12 more laps. Well, yeah, about that. He might have just drove into a wall. But, alas, we come to Sakir, and an absolute real chance for Russell. Lewis Hamilton had to miss a race due to the no-no virus, and that meant Mercedes needed a racer. George was ready. He qualified in second, just 300ths off Bottas. Come race day, Russell got a fantastic start. He pipped Bottas at turn 1. He would then build a lead after Verstappen, Leclerc and Perez all collided early on. He just needed an uneventful race to take his first ever win. Mercedes said no. Double stacking Bottas and Russell for a pit stop under a safety car, some bloke messed up the tyres and put some of Bottas's on Russell's car. This meant that Russell would have to pit a second time to get his own tyres on, and such got pushed back to 5th place. These were fresh tyres though, compared to the front runners, and with some great racecraft managed to climb back up into second and start to put pressure on Perez, who was out in front. Just when you thought a man could suffer no more pain, Russell gets a puncture, forcing another pit and putting him back out in 14th place on the grid. He would manage to climb to 9th and get his first F1 points, but in the most disheartening way possible. Arguably, this showed more of Russell's ability in the Merc than a regular race though, but this should have been Russell's first win. So now we get to 2021. Here we are, still no points for Williams or Russell, though it's getting closer and closer, with an 11th place and a Q3 appearance in Austria and another Q3 in Silverstone. Of course, with his Mr. Saturday nickname and unbeaten record in qualifying, Russell has shown plenty of reason for Mercedes to pick him. But the issue of no points in the Williams is something that could very well hang over his head for the future. So yeah, I do think Russell deserves that Mercedes seat more than most people on the grid. I think that one or two people could argue for it, but considering he is in the Mercedes youth team and his record against all of his teammates is so stellar throughout all of the junior series, really, I think he deserves it the most. Then we move on for a quick second question. Will he beat Hamilton? I would expect Mercedes want one of them to be more of a second driver, but whether Russell would want to do that and his big chance in the Mercedes is a different matter. I do hope that coming to 2022 he will show Hamilton, Verstappen, whoever else is competing, a proper competitive season and show his worth. But I don't think he will be quite at the level to be that consistent over a season just yet. 2023 and beyond though, I think he will mature and he will get his chances. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment on what you think about Russell and the Mercedes seats coming up. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.